Hey, it's our weekly check-in, number 2, and it's definitely a grab bag today because there are going to be 2 of me. I recorded some of this earlier in this week. This is the first day where I don't feel like I'm gonna die. You might be able to tell I don't sound quite normal. I haven't been well this week, so hot. 2 of me makes up 1 because I was a little bit compromised. Where was I going with that? I'm not quite well yet. Whew, it's still hot. This thing, oh Lord. Okay, anyway. We're still here, we're still going forward. I made a commitment and I'm doing it. Yes. You never know what you're gonna get with me on these weekly updates, but I hope you enjoy it. Last week we talked about astrology being a code. It's code and it's running everywhere all the time. This week I want to talk a little bit about the combination of your sun sign and your ascendant. This is important to understand for your personal stuff. It's a little bit I want to give you each week to sort of contemplate and think about as the week goes through. So everybody knows their sun sign. It's pretty easy. And a lot of people, 1 in 12, are going to be one of those 12 sun signs, right? So it's pretty broad. The thing to know about that, though, is it's an ideal. It's something that you're ideally working towards. It might not be something you're expressing. It might not even be something that you relate to. You need to understand your ascendant in relationship to your sun sign. Why? Because the ascendant is how you present yourself to the world. It's what the outside world sees. It might take a long time before you see somebody's sun sign. You might not automatically be able to say, oh, that person is a Capricorn or that person is a Leo. Probably you can if it's a Leo. To be honest, they're pretty easy to spot. But other than that, the sun sign is like the sun in the solar system. It is powerful. It's underlying everything. It's the structure that everything is going towards. It's the ideal. But you might not see that in a person when you first meet them. What you're going to see is their ascendant. Like if you go to a party, you're going to probably see the ascendant first. The ascendant is sort of like a door of a house. It's the first thing you see. No matter what's going on inside the house, you have the door first. It could be a cheery door, like a red door, or it could be a very small door, or it could be a giant glass door that you can just see straight through it. So there's lots of ways the doors can look. Liz Green in this book, Astrology for Lovers, which is a very 80s, it's an 80s book, very 80s title, Astrology for Lovers, but it's way more than that, but So the person is a Sagittarius, but this is Capricorn rising. This is a volatile, fiery, fluid, adventure-loving Sagittarian with a rather narrow, unassuming door in this noble house. The inside is freedom-loving, but the expression of a person outward with Capricorn rising is a good deal more self-contained. The nice side of this is that all that fiery exuberance is controlled and disciplined. But sometimes it can feel pretty constricting, as though they can never totally break loose. The sun in Sagittarius and the rising in Capricorn, that is an aversion. So it's like they're 2 signs that are back to back, basically, and so they're usually diametrically opposed. Then you have other examples like maybe a Gemini rising with a Leo sun. That's going to be a sextile. Those are going to be very stimulating. This could be somebody who likes to speak and likes to be in the forefront, likes to come out and show themselves and is very versatile in their ability to speak and express themselves and be a leader. Or maybe you have an Aries rising with a Libra sun. That's going to be interesting because they're oppositional. They're actually, they're a flow of the same thing. So that could be a person that's balancing that dualism. All this has to do with geometry. So knowing exactly how your sun and your ascendant work together can help you understand the energetic flow of your own personhood. Square. Aquarius sun and Scorpio rising. A Scorpio rising is going to act out scorpionic stuff, and the Aquarius is going to want that to be tapped down, the feelings, to slow it down, the feelings, and rationalize more, keep it more broad and not so personal. So that's a square energy. And how that works in relationships based on our lovers book here, Lovers.
Nothing pleases me more than seeing 2 new lovers take off in the night mist.
Yes!
People are often drawn towards partners who have the same sign on the ascendant as their own sons. I've noticed that, yeah, that's a very compatible, usually, combination. Somebody's sun sign relating to the ascendant sign of the other person, or having the same ascendant as the person that you're in relationship with. That's actually very compatible as well. Let's say you're a Pisces sun and you meet a Pisces rising. That could be a good combination. One little more piece from Liz Green, 'cause she's a kind of a brilliant lady. Get to know yourself. This means not just knowing what you like about yourself or the obvious attitudes and beliefs you hold. It also means knowing the dark side of yourself, the socially unadapted side, which you hide from other people, the weak side that you're ashamed of, the secret longings and the aspirations which are as much a part of you and as necessary as the more acceptable items. So check out your ascendant carefully, try to figure it out. Get you a little bit closer to that meaning. I did start a podcast a while back. I had the concept and idea that would be a more timeless experience, content and stuff to talk about that's more thought-provoking, not so specifically embedded into the timeline. And so then what happened is YouTube turned on that everybody could do podcasts, so you just put all your videos as podcasts. And I was doing my accountability with my cousin, and she's like, "Hey, Lindsay, why is everything you do a podcast? It's confusing." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're right, it is confusing." So I knocked all the non-podcast stuff off of that. This week I thought maybe I'll restart the podcast as a side quest, another thing to add into our little menagerie of toys that we can play with here. And then I get this sickness. So that didn't happen. It's kind of in the works, so I'm thinking about it. I have found a really interesting book, which I'll tell you about in a minute, and I thought maybe it would be cool to do those kinds of things, like do a little series of a book that we kind of work through together and talk about it. Astrology, of course, and astrology-ish around it, so that you can learn more about it. And the whole point of why I'm doing any of this stuff is because astrology is more than just the moment. Astrology is one of those key tenets of meaning making. It's little segments. Like, we like to segment things and compartmentalize them because it's easier to comprehend. And we like to have black and white. That's just human nature. But when we start pulling back, we start seeing that there is no such thing as black and white. It's all a continuum from black to white. And then back to black, and back to white, back to black. That's a great song. Amy Winehouse. Yeah, that's a good song. Focus. Books this week. I need my glasses for the book. The Way of Initiation and How to Attain Knowledge of the Higher Worlds by Rudolf Steiner. That's the book that I've been interacting with this week, and that was the thing I was thinking about for the podcast because it's in the public domain, so we could read a lot of it and then kind of think about these ideas. He's pretty fascinating. So I'll read you a little quote from the book. It's somebody else that's writing the introduction about Rudolf Steiner, so you kind of get to know who he is first, and they tell you how brilliant he was. So he was at the tail end of Nietzsche. Nietzsche was on his way out. He had gotten sick and he was losing it. And he was living with his sister. His sister still was trying to, keep his legacy and everything. And she somehow got connected with Rudolf Steiner. I think he wrote a paper or something. She tried to get Rudolf Steiner to be the collaborator or the one to continue the work of Nietzsche, but he said no because he had other stuff to do. Can you imagine? No, I think I'll pass on the Nietzsche thing. Anyway, here's a quote from the book that I really liked. It says, "The true mystic is someone who enters into full possession of their inner life and who, having become cognizant of the subconscious, finds it in concentrated meditation and steady discipline, new facilities and enlightenment. These new facilities and enlightenment instruct them as to the innermost nature of their soul and their relations with that impalpable element which underlies it all, with that eternal and supreme reality which religion calls God and poetry calls the divine." I mean, that's pretty nice, if you ask me. I liked that. I thought that was cool. There's a song by David Bowie. It's called an 8-line poem. And it's a song about, it's about a cactus and a moment with Clara, I think it's a dog or cat, putting her chin between her paws. And it's such a cool song. And then I thought, well, what other songs are there about poems? So I put it in Spotify, and this song came up. And holy moly, it's like the lyrics of the song.
Maybe one day you will listen to the small voice in your head, not the one that berates you, but the one who calls you friend. Maybe
Just halfway through it, I found myself like crying.
maybe you'll be special, even just in your own eyes. And maybe when you're dying is when you'll feel most alive.
It blew me away. I never heard of this artist. Her name is Lily Kershaw, and it just kind of, it was a special moment, so I wanted to share that with you.
Breaking is for people who wanna meet their soul. Maybe you'll be different, even just this time around.
Excuse me while I collect myself over here. Wow. That song kicked my ass. In the best possible way. Oh my God. Okay. My moments of specialness. Did you do that this week? Did you do moments of specialness? This week was a little harder because I wasn't feeling good, and so I have a few. As the week goes on, I'm sure I'll have a few more. I mean, I don't want to just show you the same stuff, but most of the time it has to do with dogs, cats, or food. So the kittens that I have, they're getting so big, and they're so miraculous to watch life and birth and love between a mother and baby. It's just, gosh, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's remarkable. But they're starting to find homes, and we're giving them to other people, and it's kind of heartbreaking because I have fallen in love with each of them, like literally. And so I'm working on that. It's part of the process of letting go, not holding anything too tight. But the thing I wanted to share with you as a moment of specialness was something I learned from my Tom Selleck book. It's a weird one. Okay, so I gotta preface this. It's not a moment of specialness for me. I think it's just a moment of weirdness that was interesting that I wanted to share with you. So it's special because of that, because specialness is weird too. So it's from Tom Selleck's book, and his career is kind of at the beginning, and he gets involved with Mae West, of all people.
When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better.
And you might know who she is, you might not know, but
I see a man in your life.
What, only one?
she was really famous in the early movies, and come up and see me sometime. I don't know. That's the thing that she's kind of famous for saying, something like that.
What kind of husband did you think I should get?
I should take a single man, leave the husbands alone.
Anyway, she hadn't been in the movies for 27 years. So the movie is from 1970. She's got all these guys lined up in the hallway.
I'll be right with you, boys. Get your resumes out.
She's an agent or something, and so it's just this bizarre scene where she brings him into her office to interview him,
Yeah.
to be his agent, I guess.
Well, I don't care about your credits as long as you're oversexed.
Oh, that's one of my credits.
And she rolls up this curtain, and there's a bed in the room.
A bed. I never did see a bed in an office before.
Well,
Anyway, there's a lot of innuendo, let's put it that way.
next.
And like, it's weird. Then I start looking up their charts. Their ascendants are trine to each other almost exactly. So she is a Taurus rising and he's a Capricorn rising, and they're both in the late degrees. His moon was almost exactly on her sun in Leo. So she has a Leo sun, he had a Leo moon, and those were conjunct. And so they were really intertwined with each other astrologically, and very compatible actually. When you see two people and you're like, how do they combine like that? You can kind of see even in their relationship, and it was a more business, obviously, relationship. According to the book, they weren't really a couple or anything like that, but indicated in the movie. And that's where their chemistry came from, was that connection between their sun and their moon being conjoined in Leo. So she was kind of using him as a young, beautiful 20-something-year-old man, and she was a lot older than him, like a lot. Mae West was born 17 August 1892, and Tom Selleck was born 29 January 1945. in 1970. That made him 25. That made her, she was almost 80 years old. Dang, is that correct? Wow. She looks amazing in this, don't you think? Holy moly. She's still playing Mae West, like full on hot stuff. I don't know. I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Well, I'm caught between two evils. I generally like to take the one I never tried.
And special in a sort of weird way. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. At this point, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing this moment with me, these ideas, these thoughts, and trying to learn more about yourself. You know, the most important thing you can do in your whole life is know yourself, learn more about yourself, accept yourself as you are. Because when you do that, you can do that for other people and inspire other people. When we all have strength in ourselves and our foundations, when we understand and accept even the crappy parts of our belief that they're crappy, right? That we think may be crappy. Even when we say, okay, you're fine too, you're invited to the party too, then there's so much more ability for people to love each other, love ourselves, love each other. We need to work on it though, it's not so easy. All right, well, I like you just the way you are. I hope you have a beautiful week, I really do. I appreciate you, and thank you for being part of my life. I'll talk to you next time.